Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. I also have training and expertise in all the psychic abilities that all human beings have. I'm not an astrologer, but I'm going to give you the information the planets are sending you this week from the 8th to the 14th of September 2025. But I'm going to use a filter, and that filter is I want to know, in order to give to you, the information you need having to do with being in between two eclipses. Today, between the 7th and 8th of September, there's an eclipse, and on the 20th, there's another. In terms of the eclipse that's between the 7th and 8th of September, what the dolphins told me was that you will know in 8 weeks what side of the line you fell on having to do with the ascension process. The ascension process is a returning to God. We came to the planet, we separated from God, came to the planet, have been twirling around ever since. We're on our way back. Some of us will get there sooner than others. The process is called ascension. It has to do with the weight of your assemblage of bodies. And if you've done a lot of purifying of traumas and spirits, toxins in other dimensions, then you will be on this first wave that ascends. In 8 weeks from today, you will know whether you're in the group that ascended and are partially or totally in the golden age, or whether you're going to be lagging behind because you didn't know that your frequency was too heavy, or you didn't know what to do about it to make it lighter. So we're going to do all the horoscopes for all the astrological signs, knowing that I'm not an astrologer, but I'm also not a doctor. And I have a lot of doctors that contact me when they have patients that they don't know what's going on, and a lot of business people that have very large businesses and they want that extra help, that extra information from the other dimensions. So, what I'm going to be giving you is extra information from the other dimensions. And hopefully, if your lens is wide enough, you take it in. You don't have to accept it, you don't have to act on it, but it might help you in these next several weeks. So, let's go ahead and start with what is always the first sign if you were a trained astrologer, which is Aries. And Aries is a male sign and it's a fire sign, which means that the fire element is the big issue that Aries have to deal with. Fire sign, fire has to do with activity, but there's too much fire. So then it ends up being insomnia, frustration, anger, hatred, physical, emotional violence, physical violence, murder, and the last thing is suicide. Those are all signs of too much of the fire element. So, Aries, what is it that you do need to know? You're too impatient. Makes sense. Your element, you're too impatient. So a lot of times you don't read the second half of a document. You don't. You miss the important point of a conversation because you tuned out. You're not listening. You think you already got it all, and you're riled up by your extra fire. So you have made a ton of mistakes that have to do simply with having too much fire. Needing to move, needing to move, needing to make a decision. Yeah, I got that already. I know that. But you may know up till then, to when the person was speaking, till then, but they said six more sentences. The important thing was in the last two sentences, but you were no longer listening because you have too much anxiety, because you have too much fire. So the trick is to reduce your fire. All of our mantrista movement, the mantrista music that we have, the videos, practically all of them reduce fire. So you can go to YouTube and look up the mantrista Musica Mantrita playlist and start playing them 24 hours a day, including at night, in where you work, where you sleep, etc. Even if you're not in those spaces, leaving those videos on will change the frequency of your spaces, which makes it easier for you to change your frequency. And the mantra that I would suggest is, even though I'm frustrated with everything and everybody, I love and accept myself. You repeat it in silence, you expel the breath through your mouth. Okay? Relatively simple. You can do this. We're going to the next sign, which is Taurus. And Taurus is a female sign and it's an earth sign. Taurus, you made a decision. You know what you want. You're like really clear. You have worked it every which way in your head. You've gotten all the information that exists on the planet about that particular thing that you want. You're outside your front door. You're in movement, but then you ended up stuck outside your front door. Why? Because you're not exactly sure how to proceed. Okay, so then you need a mantra. Please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously know how to do it. What is it? You know what it is. You know what it is that you want. Just do that mantra, which is an intention mantra. Please, God, help me with my intention to miraculously know how to do it or how to achieve it. And just repeat it silently. Don't move your mouth ever with the words. You repeat it in your head, you expel the breath through your mouth. So I think you're in a good place, Taurus. You just needed an extra piece of information. You didn't know where to get it on how to do it. You're going to ask God now. Okay? Next sign. Gemini. Gemini is a male sign and an air sign, which means a lot of thoughts, a lot of creativity, usually not enough earth element. But Gemini, what do you need to know? Gemini, I see you. You almost look like I see your arms and your legs and your head, but then there's like an oval shape inside of you, which is like really good in metaphysics. I'm not quite sure what it means, but it's really good. But around that oval is a serpent. The same thing I'm seeing in people's hearts, that it's the cosmic heart, and then there's a snake draped around it that's not allowing it to open up or to breathe or to move. I see that around you, and it's black, which means you have a massive depression. But the snake is releasing itself from you. So you're in a process of transformation to where you're going to be releasing an incredibly large depression that you've carried since you were 13 years old. I'm half Gemini. I'm Cancer Gemini, and that certainly applies to me. So you are in process. I don't need to give you anything. What you need to know is that you probably feel massively depressed and you don't think you're going to get any place. You think that all the effort you're putting forward is really not working. It's working. But you have something you need to let go of, or you have something that's going to let go of you, which is this snake, which is a Nagas, Nagas, which are the original owners of planet Earth. They are the beings, the spirits that own planet Earth. At one point, they presented as dinosaurs, usually as snakes, reptiles, dragons. The dragons in Feng Shui, the dragons in Mexico. So you're in process. You might want to do a mantra, even though I'm depressed and want to die. I love and accept myself, to hurry up the process a little bit, but it's happening and it's going to happen on its own. And it's going to complete this releasing of you from this depression from age 13. It's going to happen anyway. This is good. This is a very good thing to know. So we're going to go on to the next sign, which is Cancer. Now, Gemini is Trump. So I suspect he's probably struggling with a big depression right now. And I suspect he thinks it has to do with what's going on in the world. But it doesn't. That depression has to do with something that happened when he was 13. I have no idea what it is. It's none of my business. But all of you might want to beat the bushes or ask the people that might remember more what was going on when you were 13 years old, in case you're interested to know what was really so bad that your reaction to it was such a massive depression. Okay? We're going to the next sign, which is Cancer. Cancer is a female sign, a water sign. Water is emotions and metaphysics. Cancer, you're in the water up to your knees, which means you're not drowning in emotions, but you're certainly being held back by emotions. Water is emotions and metaphysics. And I see like a helicopter, spaceship, whatever, in the sky and they drop down like a rope, like a little chair made out of rope, and you hop on it. The vehicle, whatever it is, takes you to the shoreline. You've got a dry towel there, gold shoes, a clipboard with paper, a pencil to where you can write stuff, and you have hanging on your side a saber, a short knife in its cover hanging on your side. So basically, you've been rescued and given everything that you need to move forward, including whatever weapons you might need to defend yourself, Cancer. Now, I'm a Cancer. Elon Musk is a Cancer. The United States is astrologically a Cancer. So this is like really good. It should mean that there's going to be a lot less emotions, explosive emotions. And it should mean that the United States will have the ability to do what it needs to do. You got that clipboard, you got everything you need, you got a way of defending yourself, but you're not going into a war. You got a plan. It's on that clipboard. So this is very good for, and Colombia, the country, is also Cancer. So this is very good astrological energies that come from the planets to the people that are Cancer or the countries that are Cancer. Very good information. Okay, wow. Let's go to the next sign, which is Leo. Leo is a male sign and it's a fire sign. Leo, what do you know? The filter that I'm using for this astrological information from the 8th to the 14th is we're in between an eclipse now, between the 7th and the 8th, and another eclipse now, the 20th of September. What do you need to know to stack the deck in your favor? Because within 8 weeks from today and tomorrow, because today's the 7th, you will know what side of the line you landed on having to do with the ascension process. Are you going to be part of the new world, the new planet, with at least one foot in the golden age, or you're going to get left behind where there's going to be more violence and more catastrophes? That's the filter I'm using because the planets send you a ton of information. I want that information. That's what I'm delivering to you. So we are in Leo. Leo, you went from being a victim and accusing, not necessarily openly, but feeling that everybody was responsible for everything bad that happened to you. You're not there anymore. You don't have that extra fire of hatred and anger and frustration, but you do have too much depression. So you turned your frustration and hatred fire into depression, which is water. And the good news is you're no longer blaming other people. So you're getting close to being a master of your life. The bad news is you got to feel pretty bad. So why don't we give you a mantra, which you repeat in silence. You don't move your mouth with the words. And the mantra would be, even though I'm depressed and want to die, I love and accept myself. And just repeat it. Don't go, oh no, I'm not depressed. You said that when we said you had too much fire and you hated everybody, and you said you didn't hate everybody, and yeah, you did. You blamed them. Just do the mantra, and you'll feel better. If you actually pay attention, you'll feel better. Don't fight it off. Or go cold turkey. Go ahead and go through this next several weeks, feeling like hell. Don't make use of this very simple mantra, which is a great technique, however you want it. That mantra will help your process so that it's less painful. Okay? But you're on your way. You're on your way. Just good. Leo. I was worried for a while. Too much fire. It burns people up to where their personalities change. They become bitter. Not just Leos, any sign that has too much fire. So we're going to go now with Virgo. Now, Virgo is a female sign and it is an earth sign. Virgos, usually I see them behind next to a hole in the ground and there's a shovel there and they're fooling around with the shovel, or they're just standing there and leaning on the shovel in the hole. This time I see the Virgo with a pickaxe and they're going at that hole with a pickaxe and they're very vitalized. So you should be surprised at the changes in Virgos, that you should see them a lot more active, a lot more proactive, and going at their projects rather than feeling like they're drowning in them or they have to hide them, whatever it is. that they use as a cover story. So I don't need to say anything further about Virgo. It's very good. There was a shift in Virgo, and it's very positive. A lot more action, positive action. Next sign will be Libra. Libra is a male sign and it's an air sign. And when I did the Spanish horoscopes, the exact thing came up. Libra, let me say that this is the first time I've done horoscopes in 25, 30 years where I have had people that have done black magic for me not to share with you what I see in terms of the horoscopes, because I have identified political figures such as Trump being a Gemini. And in this case, the Libra is the vice president duly elected of Venezuela. The president duly elected, it was the Virgo that is now more active. The vice president, which everybody kind of says is the one who's really going to be in charge, this is what I see for all Libras. I see first place is a wall. I have to go around the wall and then I have to go down the stairs. I've never had to do that when I do horoscopes. So somebody who knows a lot about black magic really doesn't want me to read this. So you know what? Here we go. Libra is inside a sarcophagus. Buried. I had to go down to the underworld, tied up inside a sarcophagus. Well, it turns out that my handler, Rene de Villegas, is a specialist in Egyptian magic. I've been doing this for decades. I've never found anybody else, because I live in this part of the world, that's a specialist in Egyptian magic. Yes, in voodoo and in Santeria, but not Egyptian magic. The only person I know is Rene de Villegas. Now, what's his connection with Venezuela? That's where he made the most money. Prostituting people and putting his hands in the natural resources in Venezuela, trying to create war, because when there's war, the bad guys, there's all this going on above them and they're underneath doing what they do. He's the only person I have ever seen in the decades in which I check and deal with black magic, the only person that uses sarcophagus in his black magic. He knows how to fragment people and put that fragment, which would be a separate astral body, in a sarcophagus and control them that way. So she is in a sarcophagus. The chances of this not having been done by Rene de Villegas, who works for the FBI in the United States and is still protected by the weaponized part of the FBI, has done black magic on the duly elected vice president of Venezuela. So, if you are a Sagittarius, this will apply to you in some way. Take it as a symbolic. I know another Sagittarius that has nothing to do with Venezuela or any of these issues that are political. And yet, I think she has had or been too close to child trafficking. She may or may not have known it before. And this is exactly where she is probably at this point, because all that's coming up. So if she was a victim of child trafficking and never said anything, whatever, it would make sense. So please do not use the excuse that what I just said and say that doesn't apply to me, because I'm not political. Take it symbolically. It may help you to get out of one royal mess all you Sagittarius are probably in. Next sign. Capricorn. Capricorn is a female sign and an earth sign. Capricorn, and this came up also when I did the horoscopes in Spanish. Capricorn has put down his weapons, because I always see Capricorn outside of the property, defending his people, his property, and his family and his people that are inside. And he's got a machine gun, and sometimes he has a flag up, and then he pulls down the flag and puts up another one. He's not doing that. He doesn't have a weapon. He, Capricorn, doesn't have a weapon. Capricorn has across his property several strings of Tibetan flags. What could that mean for you, that a Capricorn that doesn't even know what a Tibetan flag is? What that means is that you are understanding that the war is in the other dimensions, The battle between light and dark that plays out in 1,000 different ways is not in the physical dimension, and a weapon on the physical dimension is not going to be able to help you. You have understood that, and you've put the weapon down, and you're looking for spiritual, other dimensional protection or information, and that is excellent. Now, for those of you that are going, who the hell is this woman? She's not even an astrologer. She says she's not an astrologer. Why should I even listen? What I suggest you do is you simply widen your lens and just listen. That's what I suggest. Continuing on to the next sign. You need to know that all the important civilizations on planet Earth that achieved more than modern society, they all understood the role of astrology in politics, in their personal lives, in their diseases. Modern science has not allowed you that information because it puts too much power in your hands. So, continuing on. Aquarius is a male sign and an air sign, which means mind, thoughts, creativity, not usually as grounded as necessary. Aquarius, I see you inside your home. You've got a ladder. You're going all the way to the ceiling, and there's this whole blob of black, which means massive depression at the level of the crown, which is connection to God, spirituality, power. And you've got something, a knife or something, you're poking that mass, and then it kind of opens up, and then you open a door at the top of your ceiling, and all of a sudden you can see the sun, and you lift your face and the sunlight hits your face. Congratulations, Aquarius. You made a tremendous breakthrough. You are now connected to God, higher dimensions where there's more power. You broke through your depression. Now, whether you did that today, yesterday, 3 weeks ago, or in 2 weeks, I don't know. But this is the most wonderful read I've ever done for Aquarius. So, you know what can help you a lot is the mantra Om. Why did I take so long? Because I'm watching at what that's doing for me. So this was open up my central channel. My central channel is stuck here. So the Om is stuck here for me to. That's why it took so long. Do the Om. And if every day do it a little bit more, and if you do it enough, your central channel, which is where your intentions are, your intention is power on planet Earth. On planet Earth, intentions create reality. So if you can really vitalize your intentions, you're going to be able to create whatever you want. And you have the right to create anything. Ugly stuff, great stuff, whatever. That's the law on the planet, free will. But the more you energize your central channel, which is actually our holy grail, it's in the shape of a chalice, the more powerful you become. So just keep doing the mantra. Om. And remember that science is now totally, they all agree, the most impactful thing for healing is sound. So, continuing on to the last sign, which is Pisces. Interesting, I'm getting almost the exact same images as when I do these in Spanish, and sometimes it changes and it makes it like, and they're both accurate, but this is good that this is exactly the same thing. Pisces, I have seen lately with a submachine gun in their home, ready to shoot down anybody who dares to try to impose their will, to take something, to change their mind. This is not the way Pisces normally has operated. Today, I see Pisces next to a desk, and there's a clipboard there with names on it, and it's a list of people that have led Pisces astray, have lied to Pisces, have been bad to Pisces, have tried to block Pisces, and that list is there. And Pisces is checking off whenever she takes care of the people. She's got a submachine gun, but she's not using it. She's using it for defense. She, he, Pisces, for defense, but she's changing the cartridge, which means she must have shot down a few people recently. She's changing the cartridge. The submachine gun is on her hip on this side, and on this side, she's got this list of people. So I would say that if you're used to being able to push around a Pisces, or you used to be able to jerk around a Pisces by crying or by saying, I really need this and you need to do this for me, don't do it, because Pisces is not going to think. Pisces has already made the decision that he's not going to allow anybody to jerk him around anymore. So I strongly suggest you review and revise the way you deal with a Pisces, because it is not going to be business as usual. I don't really know anybody whose name that you would know that would be a Pisces to give you an example of who you might want to watch to see what it is that they do. But you should have some Pisces in your life. And by the way, if you don't know the sign of your boss or your wife or husband or your kids, I got to ask you, why not? Well, there's no scientific evidence. No, sir. The definition of science is observe and draw conclusions. There's over 5,000 years of evidence that has been collected having to do with the influence of the planets. They have not discussed, the important people on the planet throughout history have not discussed for centuries whether the planets send energy or not. The only reason that in modern science, which is not science, it's pseudoscience, it's controlling and manipulation of information. The only reason you're not taught that is because the day you do what all the big leaders today are doing, even today, not just throughout history, is because these people don't want you to have power. If you, just one example from me, I set up a radio show decades ago, and it was so great. People loved the stuff. It was wonderful. I was so thrilled. I hired the appropriate people. I spent the amount of money I needed to spend. And I got an astrologer in for one of my interviews. And she said, your show's not going to make it. And I said, well, even other radio stations are letting me know you should syndicate this. I don't get it. She said, astrologically, this was not the time to start the show. And I thought I don't know what I thought, but I thought she was wrong. Well, she was right. So the important people on the planet that have a lot more power than you do, they look at astrology. You don't let astrology dictate your life. It's one influence. It's one of the most important, but it is one influence. But why on earth would you not have that influence if all the other power players throughout history have understood that information is very helpful? If I had had that information, I would have saved, this was in the 90s, $80,000 in the 90s. That's a lot of money. But I did not understand that. I had not integrated, because I was never trained in astrology. I learned that when I started to work with autistic children, and I saw that the autistic children, and it was one of my assistants that led me to that. We put all the files out. We had 50 kids that I had taken care of, and we put them, I don't know what order my assistant was putting them in, but she ended up putting them in terms of their astrological signs and their element. And we found that the autistic children, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, which is the element of earth, were so much easier to handle than the autistic children that were fire signs, which is Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. A world of difference in the lives of the child and the family. And I went, wow, I need to pay attention to this. So I trained myself not to be an astrologer. All those charts are very confusing to me, but to know about the different signs. So I suggest that you widen your lens and you allow this information to come in, and then try several different astrologers, and you can continue to listen to me, and you can find an astrologer that's more in keeping with you. Now, if you're the type that wants the information of, is my girlfriend going to stay with me, leave with me? That's not the kind of thing that we do. but you may want that kind of information also. So you check around and see what astrologer resonates for you. And I suggest you continue to listen to what it is that we are putting out because we come from a different angle than most other astrologers. So you shouldn't limit yourself, widen your lens. Now, I need to say that there are two things that block you from getting the good stuff the planets send. One is if you're the victim of black magic, curses, or spell work. You need to take care of that. We have that service in my store. So you can go to Francis Fox store and you'll see it in Spanish. Put in Google Translate. And the second thing is if you had a huge trauma before you were age 14, but I'm talking a huge trauma, and you fragmented, your soul fragmented, a space was left and an entity came in. And that entity will not let you benefit from the good stuff the planets could send you. So anyway, I've talked enough. Widen your lens. The other dimensions are much more important today than they ever were, and that's where this planetary information is, because Revelations is about lifting veils, and the lifting of the veils has to do with information, beings, people, agendas in the other dimensions that until now were veiled. Okay? Thank you. I'm Francis Fox, and I hope to see you back. Bye. Excuse me, somebody has told me that I forgot Scorpio. Scorpio is a female sign and a water sign. Scorpio is having a massive transformation. And Gemini, we saw the black snake draped around Gemini, and it's coming off on its own, which is going to be great for Gemini, liberated from depression from when they were 13 years old. Scorpio has something similar, but that is being released from Scorpio is very internal and very deep, much more than the Gemini to where it's outside and has to do with personality. So Scorpio cannot feel good right now. Scorpio has to feel very confused. But the wonderful news is that Scorpio is going to be able to be Scorpio within several weeks and not be a distorted version because of something really big. I'm not quite sure what it was that happened to Scorpio that was able to cover what is the essence of Scorpio. Okay? Thank you for listening. And thank you for reminding me that I forgot one of the signs.